Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Katie.
and today we're going to do problem number 57. And it's a hyperbola problem, and we're going to use standard form horizontal since x is leading, and Katie will get you started.
Alright, so this is the problem we started off with, and then you want to get similar terms together. So we took the x's and the y's, and then we got this, and you leave spaces because here you're going to do completing the squares. So I took out the 4 from the x's and took out the negative from the y's, and then you got to remember when you're doing completing the squares, when you're adding something to the side, you've got to do the same to the side. And then after that, you figure out that you have to do half of b squared equals c. So we did half of this is negative 3 squared is 9. That's how we got this one. And then half of this is 2 squared is 4. And that's how we got this. And you add it to the side too. And then overall you get 16 on this side. And you want this to equal 1. So you have to divide it by 16 and divide the other side by 16. And then this is the equation you get for your total. And then we give you Joe
Sweet.
with the rest.
Okay. So, alright. So now we have to solve for the center, the vertices, the transverse axis, the foci, and the asymptotes. Since we already have the equation, we already have the center, which is this x and y. And so x negative 3 becomes positive since you're graphing. So 3 and 2, so negative 2. So here's our center at 3, negative 2. Next we have to find the vertices. And all we do is we take a and b. And since they've been squared, we just have to square root them. So 4 square rooted is just 2. So we'll move over 2 here, as you can see. Just move over 2. And if you move over 2, you get just 1x, so 1, negative 2, since it's still, your y is still negative 2. And then you move over to the right 2, and you get 5, negative 2. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry about that. And how you solve for your transverse axis, you always look at the foci, but since the foci is on the x-axis, it is parallel to the x-axis. So transverse axis is parallel to the x-axis since you look at your foci, and it's the same as the x-axis. Next, how we solve for the foci is we do a squared plus b squared, which equals c squared. And we take a, which is 4, and 16, which have both been squared from the a and b form, which equals 20. But you square root 20 since c is squared, and you get 2 root 5 equals c. So then you just place that in your foci. So 3 minus 2 root 5 minus 2, and then 3 plus 2 root 5 minus 2. And finally we have to solve for our asymptote, which is our magical little box thing. So we do y equals plus or minus b over a, x minus h plus k. So we just take 3 and plug it in, so negative x minus 3, and negative 2 and plug it in. And then we just use our a and b, which are 4 and 2. So if you reduce, you get 2 and x minus 3, and I added this 2 over, so y plus 2 equals 2x minus 3. And then we draw a little box, dot 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 dot. And so this equation would just look like this going through the corners. Okay. And that is how you solve for a hyperbola.
I don't know how to stop this.
Oh.